If you're currently around 25% body fat, you might actually be much closer to having the physique you've always wanted than you think. The problem is, most people make the exact same mistakes that keep them stuck for years. They diet too aggressively, they do endless cardio, they lose weight but also lose muscle. Then eventually they gain everything back. And they convince themselves, I just can't get lean. But the truth is, getting from 25% body fat to around 12% isn't about having amazing genetics. It's not about starving yourself. It's not about spending 2 hours every day in the gym. Is about understanding the process. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would approach this transformation, how to set up your nutrition, how to train to build muscle while losing fat, how much cardio you actually need, the mistakes that slow your progress, and how to maintain your results once you finally get there. Because getting lean is one thing, but staying lean is where most people fail. Now, before we get into the plan, you might be wondering, why should I listen to you? And of course, that's a fair question. The reason I can confidently talk about this is because I've helped hundreds of men go through this exact transformation. I've helped men who felt stuck, men who had tried diets before, men who trained hard but just weren't seeing the results they wanted. And I've helped them lose fat, build muscle, and completely change the way they look and feel. The biggest thing I've learned is this. Most people don't fail because they aren't willing to work. They fail because they don't have the right system. They don't know what calories to eat. They don't know how to train properly. They don't know what adjustments to make when progress slows down. And that's exactly what I'm going to break down today, because the goal isn't just to get you lean. The goal is to teach you how to become someone who stays lean. And if you're someone who wants to lose body fat, build muscle, and transform physique without extreme diets or living in the gym, make sure you subscribe, because that's exactly what this channel is about, helping you build a body you're proud of while still having a normal life. Now, let's talk about what this transformation actually looks like, because I think seeing real examples is important, not because before and after photos are everything, but because they prove what's possible when you have the right approach. Let's start with Linus. When Linus came to us, he was 21 years old, and his situation is actually incredibly common. He wasn't someone who wasn't trying. He was training consistently. He was putting effort in, but after a year of trying, he still felt stuck. His words were, I tried for a year and still saw no results. He had no abs, no real definition, and his confidence was taking a hit. He was comparing himself to friends. He was unsure what he should be eating, and he was constantly guessing whether he was doing the right things. The problem wasn't motivation. The problem was lack of direction. He didn't need another random workout. He didn't need another extreme diet. He needed a structured plan. Fast forward 17 weeks, Linus went from 77 to 67.8 kg. He achieved visible abs and vascularity for the first time ever. But what stood out most wasn't just the physical change, it was the confidence. He went from doing home workouts to having the confidence to step into the gym. He learned how to balance fitness with social life, and he moved away from the all or nothing mindset. Because this is something I want you to understand. The best transformation isn't the one where you suffer the most. It's the one where you build habits you can actually maintain. The difference for Linus wasn't that he suddenly became more motivated. It was a structured plan, nutrition tailored around him, weekly accountability, and a proven process. That's what creates results. Another great example is Harry. Harry had a different challenge. He was busy. He had a wedding approaching, and he reached a point where he didn't feel comfortable in his own body. Nothing was fitting properly. He was avoiding photos, and he didn't want to look back at his wedding pictures wishing he had done something differently. But Harry wasn't someone who had never tried. He trained before, he'd lost weight before, he knew exactly what he needed to do. The problem was life got busy, progress stalled, motivation dropped, and eventually he ended up back where he started. So instead of another extreme approach, we simplified everything. 3 gym sessions per week, a nutrition plan that allowed weekends, meals out, social events, food choices he enjoyed, no cutting everything out, no living in the gym, no unrealistic rules. And the result was he went from 88.7 to 77.3 kg, over 11 kg loss, but more importantly, he became stronger, leaner, more muscular, and built habits that fit his lifestyle. Instead of crash dieting before his wedding, he was able to reverse diet, increase calories, and still stay lean heading into the big day. His message to us was, mission accomplished, getting in the shape of my life and feeling the best I've ever felt for the wedding day. And that's exactly what we were aiming for, not just a temporary transformation, a complete lifestyle change. Now let's talk about the first thing you need to understand. Your goal is not simply to lose weight. your goal is to lose fat. And there's a huge difference because two people can lose the exact same amount of weight but look completely different. One person loses 10 kg while keeping their muscle. They look athletic, they look defined, they look like someone who trains. The other person loses 10 kg but loses a lot of muscle along the way. They might weigh less and they don't have the physique that they wanted. This is why the goal is lose fat, maintain muscle, build a body you actually want to keep. And everything we're going to talk about today comes back to those three things. Now let's talk about the part that will determine around 80% of your results, nutrition. Because no matter how good your training is, if your nutrition isn't aligned with your goal, you're going to struggle to get lean. You can have the perfect workout program, you can take every supplement, you can do cardio every single day. But if your calories and food choices aren't supporting fat loss, the results just won't happen. So let's start with the most important concept, and that is calories. Your body needs a certain amount of energy every day just to maintain your current weight. This is your maintenance calories. If you consistently eat above that number, your body stores that extra energy. If you consistently eat below that number, your body has to use stored energy. And that is what creates fat loss, a calorie deficit. Now, here's where most people make a mistake. What they think is, if eating fewer calories helps me lose fat, then eating as little as possible must be better. But this is exactly why so many people fail. They start with an extreme diet. They cut out everything they enjoy. They drop their calories way too low. They lose weight quickly, but then their hunger goes through the roof. Their workouts become terrible, their energy disappears, and eventually they binge. Not because they lack discipline, but because the plan was impossible to maintain. The goal isn't to eat as little as possible. The goal is to eat as much as possible while still losing fat. That is a sweet spot. For most people, a good starting point is a moderate calorie deficit, usually around 15 to 25% below maintenance calories. Enough to create progress, but not so aggressive that your entire life revolves around dieting. Because remember, the goal isn't to survive a 12-week challenge. The goal is to build a body and lifestyle you can maintain forever. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is protein. And this is where a lot of people leave results on the table. Protein is one of the most important parts of a successful transformation. Why? Because protein helps you maintain muscle while losing fat. And muscle is what gives your body shape. Anyone can lose weight. But the reason someone at 12% body fat looks impressive is because they have muscle underneath. A good target for most people is around 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So if you weigh 90 kg, you're looking at roughly 145 to 200 grams of protein per day. You don't need to obsess over hitting that target number every single day, but you do need to make protein a priority. A simple way to do this is have a protein source at every meal. Chicken, fish, lean meat, eggs, Greek yogurt, protein shakes, tofu, whatever works for your lifestyle. The easier you make it, the more consistent you'll become. Now, let's talk about food choices, because one of the biggest myths in fitness is that getting lean means eating boring food forever. People imagine chicken, broccoli, rice every meal 7 days a week. And if you enjoy that, that's completely fine. But for most people, that's just not realistic. And that's the reason why a lot of people quit. The best diet isn't one that looks perfect on paper. The best diet is one you can follow when you're tired, when you're busy, when you're traveling, when you have social events, when motivation isn't high, because your results aren't built for your best day. They're built for your average day. This is something Harry's transformation demonstrated perfectly. Harry didn't get lean because he avoided his social life. He didn't get lean because he never ate out. He got lean because he learned how to manage those situations. He had a plan. He understood his calories. He prioritized protein and he stayed consistent. That's the skill that you need to develop, not perfection, control. Now, should you track your calories? For most people, especially when starting out, I think tracking is incredibly useful. Not because you have to track forever, but because it teaches you awareness. A lot of people generally don't realize how much they're eating. A few extra snacks, a bigger portion, a couple of drinks, a takeaway at the weekend. None of these things seem like a big deal individually, but together they can completely remove your calorie deficit. Tracking gives you information, and information gives you control. Now, if tracking feels overwhelming, you can still make progress. You can just use a simpler approach. Think about your plate. Start with protein, then add vegetables or fruit, then add carbohydrates around your activity levels, then add healthy fats. Keep it simple. The biggest mistake people make is looking for a perfect diet. There is no perfect diet. There is only the diet that you can consistently execute. Now, let's talk about something every person trying to get lean will experience, and that's hunger. Because getting from 25% to 12% body fat isn't always easy. easy, especially when you get closer and you need strategies. The first strategy is eating high volume foods that fill you up without taking up too many calories. Vegetables, fruit, potatoes, lean proteins, low calorie sauces, high protein foods. These allow you to eat satisfying meals while still losing fat. Second is don't let yourself get extremely hungry. A lot of people try to be perfect all day. They barely eat, then at night they lose control. A better approach is consistency. Eat meals that keep you satisfied throughout the day. Third is plan ahead. Your results are usually decided before the difficult moment arrives. If you know you're going out for dinner on Saturday, plan around it. Don't panic. Don't think I've ruined everything. One meal doesn't ruin your progress. The problem is when one meal becomes an entire weekend. Now, another thing you need to understand is that fat loss is not linear. At the beginning, you might see rapid progress. The scale drops quickly, your clothes fit better, you feel motivated, then eventually things slow down. And this is where most people quit. They think it stopped working, but that's not what's happening. Your body is adapting, and that's normal. The key is looking at trends. Don't judge your progress based on one weigh-in. Look at weekly averages, look at photos, look at measurements, look at strength in the gym. The scale is just one piece of information. Now, before we move into training, I want to know where you're currently at. Drop a comment below. Are you starting around 25% body fat? Are you trying to lose your first 10 kg, or are you already lean and trying to build more muscle? I read the comments and it helps me create videos around the problems you actually want to help with. Now let's talk about training, because nutrition is what reveals your physique, but training is what builds it. And this is where a lot of people get confused. They think, if I want to lose fat, I need to do more cardio. So they start running every day. They spend hours on the treadmill. They destroy themselves with workouts, and then they wonder why they don't look how they imagined. The reason is simple. The goal isn't just to become smaller. The goal is to become lean. You want to lose fat while keeping as much muscle as possible, and ideally building muscle along the way. This is what creates the transformation, because anyone can lose weight, but the people who look completely different after losing weight are the ones who build and maintain muscle. So resistance training needs to be the foundation of your plan. You need to give your body a reason to keep that muscle. Think about it like this. Your body is constantly adapting to the demands you place on it. If you lift weights consistently and challenge yourself, your body gets the message, I need the muscle. But if you stop lifting, eat very little, and only do cardio, your body has no reason to hold on to extra muscle. This is why strength training is non-negotiable. Now, how often should you train? For most people, 3 to 5 sessions per week is more than enough. Honestly, 3 well-structured sessions will beat 6 random workouts every single time. Harry is a perfect example of this. He didn't need to train every day. He trained 3 times per week, but those sessions were focused, they were consistent, and they matched his lifestyle. That's what made the difference. Your workout should focus on progressive overload, meaning over time you're improving. More weight, more reps, better form, better control. You don't need to destroy yourself every workout. You need to give your body a reason to adapt. A simple structure could be upper body, lower body, full body, or push, pull, legs. The exact split matters less than consistency. The biggest mistake I see is people constantly changing programs. They do something for 2 weeks, then they see another workout online and they switch it again. Then they wonder why they're not progressing. The best program is usually one you can stick with long enough to actually improve. Now let's talk about cardio, because cardio is useful, but it needs to be used correctly. Cardio is a tool, it's not a punishment. You don't do cardio because you ate a burger. You don't need to earn your food. You use cardio because it helps improve fitness, health, and calorie expenditure. The first form of cardio I would focus on is walking. And honestly, walking is one of the most underrated fat loss tools. Increasing your daily steps can make a huge difference without destroying your recovery. For example, someone going from 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day could significantly increase their daily calorie expenditure. And the best part, it doesn't feel like a punishment. You can walk while listening to podcasts, you can walk with friends, you can fit it around your lifestyle. Then if needed, you can add more structured cardio, maybe 2 or 3 sessions per week. But don't start with everything. Don't lift weights 5 days per week. Don't do 2 hours of cardio. Don't eat an extremely low calorie diet. You want to create a plan you can actually follow, because the best fat loss strategy is one you can still execute 6 months from now. Now let's quickly talk about supplements, because this industry has convince people that supplements are the reason they are getting results. They're not. A supplement is exactly what the name suggests. It supplements a good foundation. It does not replace good nutrition. It does not replace hard training. It does not replace consistency. It does not replace sleep. But there are a few supplements that can be useful. The first is protein powder. Not because it's magic, it's simply convenient. If you're struggling to hit your protein target, a shake can make things easier. The second is creatine. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements available. It can help with strength, training performance, and maintaining muscle. And the third is simply making sure you're not deficient in anything important. But don't make the mistake of spending hundreds on supplements while ignoring the basics. Your results are built from your food, your training, your recovery, your consistency. Now let's answer the question everyone wants to know. How long does this actually take? The honest answer is it depends. It depends on your starting weight, your muscle mass, your genetics, your consistency, your overall lifestyle. But for most people, think months, not weeks. A realistic time frame is usually somewhere around 4 to 9 months. Some people will move faster, some people will need longer, and that's completely fine. The mistake is comparing your journey to someone else's. You don't know their starting point. You don't know how long they've been training. You don't know what happens behind the scenes. Focus on your own process, because the person who takes 8 months and keeps the results will always beat the person who gets there in 8 weeks and rebounds. Now, the biggest part of this transformation isn't actually nutrition. It's not training, it's your identity. Because the biggest mistake people make is thinking, I just need more motivation. But motivation comes and goes. Everyone is motivated on Monday. The real test is Thursday night when you're tired, when work has been stressful, when you don't feel like training. That's where results are built. You need systems, not motivation. You need habits, not willpower. The people who transform their bodies aren't perfect. They still have bad days. They still miss workouts. They still eat meals that weren't planned. The difference is they don't let one mistake become a week. They get back on track quickly. That's the skill, not perfection, consistency. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually reach your goal, because getting lean is only half the journey. The question is, can you stay there? A lot of people can diet. They can suffer for 12 weeks. They can lose weight, but then they immediately go back to their old habits, and slowly the weight comes back. The goal isn't to create a body you have to consistently fight to maintain. The goal is to create a lifestyle where staying lean feels normal. This is why reverse dieting is so valuable. Instead of immediately going back to eating whatever you want, you slowly increase calories. You continue training, you maintain your protein intake, you keep your activity levels high, and you learn what your body can handle. This is exactly what Harry was able to do before his wedding. He didn't just get lean, he built the habits to stay lean, and that's the real win. So if you're currently sitting at around 25% body fat, I want you to remember this. You are not as far away as you think. The version of yourself you're chasing isn't created through one extreme challenge. It's created through hundreds of small decisions repeated consistently. The meals you choose, the workouts you complete, the habits you build, the standard you set yourself. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Focus on the fundamentals. Eat enough protein, create a sustainable calorie deficit, lift weights, move more, recover properly, and be patient, because 6 months from now, you can either be looking back wishing you started, or you can be looking back proud that you did it. If this video helped you understand exactly how to go from 25 to 12% body fat, then make sure you subscribe, because on this channel, we're going to keep breaking down exactly how to build muscle, lose fat, and transform your physique without extreme approaches. And if you want to continue your journey, watch the next video where I break down why 95% of people never lose body fat. But thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And for daily, simple fat loss and muscle gain tips, head over to my Instagram and drop me a follow on there.